Brody had already left at that point. And when the cops walked in, I was on the ground with Kyle, freaked like, oh fuck, bro, like what? So immediately they came in, arrested me. My mom and dad come in like, Austin, what have you done? Like, what did you do, bro? I'm like, you know what I mean? They arrested me, put me in the back of the car, and it took, they gathered everyone's statements, but they were gonna. I was like originally one of the suspects, and that shit was wild.
Austin, what's up, bro? Welcome to the show.
What's up, my dog? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming, man.
Absolutely, bro.
How's
My
everything
pleasure.
been going?
Been going good, man. Been going pretty decent. Fucking been out since 2018. Been just grinding, steady improving. It's been, it hasn't been all peaches and cream, but it's been good, man. Started a family since, I haven't really caught up with you in like what shit a grip, right? Except for the other day on the phone.
Yeah, it's been a minute, bro. It's definitely been a minute.
I mean, so much shit has happened since we were kids, bro. Like,
yeah, we've known each other for a minute, man. That's crazy.
So between the shit going down in my parents' house to fucking prison and addiction and then building myself back up from scratch. A lot of shit's went down, bro. Starting a family.
Yeah, you've done music. You could definitely talk about that as well. I mean, I've seen, your online promotion for your music and you doing shows, and it seems like you've really been grinding in the music scene a lot.
Yeah, so I kind of had a calling on my heart while I was in prison, and I got super close to God and was in my Bible and stuff while I was in there, and I always been on point when I'm locked up. I used to go in, I'd get disciplined, I would get fit, I would be in my Bible, I would be like, I'm gonna freaking kill it when I get out, and then a lot of times I would get out and just hit the ground running and back in the mix, back in all the just immediately just in the mix and messing up, and I went to prison, once as a juvenile, DYC, and then I went twice as an adult, once at 23, and then back at 28. And that second time back down, I was like, I was in DRDC. I tagged my fucking name AK on the fucking desk in there, and then 5 years later to the date, I'm sitting there staring at that AK that I tagged up. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they say never tag your name in those places because you'll always come back to see it.
Bro.
You know what I mean?
Bro, and it was such like, just like an epiphany almost, like, bro, what the fuck? What happened the last 5 years?
Yeah.
You in the same spot.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
And, at first it wasn't like I right before I went in, I was deep. I was really with my bros, High Life Entertainment in Greeley, and we were really grinding it out and making a lot of music. I was learning about music, had, stuff popping on SoundCloud. We had a whole team, a really solid team of people just grinding with us, and it was cool. And, a lot of them ended up dead or in prison or just kind of fell out.
Well, can you give us kind of a backstory about your life and, about, you can go as wherever you want with that, but about your childhood, just whatever you'd like to portray to whoever's watching?
Yeah, man. So, I wanted to kind of finish what I was saying real quick is,
yeah, go ahead.
I had, while I was in there, I was about to give up, like, on music shit. I was like, yeah, I need to grow the fuck up, like, fuck, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I just started working out and praying, sticking to myself. I wasn't like rolling with like my first time around, I was rolling with people. I was in the mix and stuff. My second time around, I was just focused, and I was doing some re-entry classes, and God put it on my heart to make music about to do an album, not bragging about being the dope boy, not bragging about trapping, but really the real shit that happens in an addict's life. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what I did, and I came out and I put that stuff together. I got Stevie Stone, Dizzy Wright, some huge features for me for my first album ever. I thought it was really dope.
No, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's what I hate about music nowadays is like, it's just it's so ratchet, and it's just so distasteful,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's just me growing up or us growing up, but it seems like a plan just to poison the youth. And I mean,
Bro,
I do know how deep it is. I'm not gonna,
yeah,
I could go very deep on that, but it's just at the end of the day, it's just distasteful.
yeah, bro. It's
I like real shit.
it's kind of like a brainwash type of thing that maybe the powers that be, they really only support and get behind artists that are talking bad stuff and poisoning the youth,
Yeah.
because it's hard when you have a positive message
Mm-hmm.
to break into the industry. You know what I mean? Or to really get that following.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just people like sex and violence and all that sells, but maybe it's bigger than that. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
so
But
give us a little bit of that backstory, bro.
okay, let's see, man. Born 1991, Austin Kudrna. Um, Growing up, man, was pretty chill. I grew up, I was born in Greeley, Colorado, but I moved over to Frederick when I was 6 years old, and you know, uh, just growing up was hella into skateboarding. Um, kind of like, I don't know. I felt like I had like a cool little crowd of people around me when I was real young, and then for whatever reason, things just started to shift in my life. I became more like enthralled with just doing different stuff, and I like remember Jake Nova. So when we kind of bumped heads, and then it was like everybody kind of like turned their back on me in that whole middle school type of shit. I was like, whatever. Went and kind of just started kicking it with some older, like the high schoolers and shit would all come ditch at my class in my garage and smoke weed, and all them fools thought I was lit. So I'm like, fuck all these middle schoolers. I'm kicking it with these guys. You know, in return, I ended up getting expelled from Coleridge, the first fucking kid to ever get expelled from Coleridge. Um, and I moved to Brighton, and I was staying in Brighton, and that's kind of where I really got into a lot of crazy stuff. My dad would work in Wyoming for like 2 to 3 weeks at a time on the oil field, and I would just have the apartment to myself because my parents split. My parents were going through a divorce. I was about 13. And really, that was like when I started going to juvie, started getting in trouble and stuff. And then, yeah, I moved out with my dad, and I fell in love with the game, bro. Like, I stopped going to school. I would just back then it was swag. We were selling swag. I was selling bags of swag. I would make cigarettes by the pack. Go out to Smokers Friendly. I would wake up every day when everybody's going to school, and I'll be selling cigarettes and weed.
Mm-hmm.
And then lunch break, everybody would be at the crib, and yeah, bro. I had a partner at the bottom of my apartment complex. He was a Sureño, and he was the plug on coke. And so I mean, it was just on and popping, and I was really enthralled by that life. And I really looked after a couple of years and getting kind of better at trapping and stuff. I was kind of starting to look at people with normal jobs as like suckers, you know what I mean? And just was getting into it. But
What are some of the thoughts on the situations so what are some of your thoughts on the situations that took place to lead you to going to prison?
well, um,
Or do you want to talk about, the situation that took you to going to prison for the first time? Or
yeah, absolutely, man. We could get into that. So I would already been in and out juvie, Platte Valley and stuff, and at one point I had an ankle monitor on, and some kids I gave him some money for weed and he stole it from me. This fool Jeremy Hansen. I ended up running into him. I beat the fuck out of him. The ambulance had to come pick him up and stuff. And yeah, that was what led to me going to juvie. And then when I got out, like I said, I moved with my dad. And then, while due to me trapping out his apartment while he was in Wyoming, we got kicked out. And they said, nah, you can't be here running them up. My traffic was too much. I was fucking, I think I was like 14 years old, and I didn't know fucking how to run shit. I was just being messy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just doing the most. And so they kicked us out. And my dad's like, hey, can I move back in with you? So we moved back to Frederick with my mom. And basically, I brought a lot of the homies from over there with me to come party one night. And then, because my mom liked to kick it and party. She was the party mom. It was cool, you know what I mean? Go over there, smoke weed with my mom, drink with my mom. Everybody was always just chilling with my mom, getting high, whatever, you know? And yeah, bro, one of my buddies from Brighton ended up, taking Kyle's life, and all over, a fake scratch ticket and some meth.
Can you tell that story? If you don't mind, maybe like in depth about that story and kind of what happened.
Yeah, I'll get into it a little bit. I know the person that committed the murder. He just got released from prison like last year or so. This was in 2007, so what's going on, like almost 20 years since it happened. So he ended up doing his time and getting out. So I don't want to think that I'm talking bad on bro or that I'm bashing Kyle and his family or
Oh,
any of
not at
that.
all, not at all. I mean,
But
if it's not comfortable to speak on, I totally understand that. I just
nah, I just want to make that clear before I start speaking that I don't mean any disrespect towards either party, and that I'm just telling my perspective of it.
that's what we're here for, brother. You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, man. Essentially, we were some. Kyle kind of had the plug on a lot of meth and stuff like that, and Brody, he was in Commerce City, and he stole a bunch of scratch tickets. If you steal them from behind the counter, they're not actually legit. So you scratch them, and it says, "Oh, you're a winner." You go to cash it, it's not legit, right?
Yeah.
So he'd been okey doking people with these fucking tickets.
They have
left
to
and
be
right.
like activated, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he'd been okey doking people, and he was like, you know, told Kyle like, "Hey man, I got this scratch ticket. You trade me for some dope." Kyle's like, "Yeah, like, I'm kind of hip to what's been going on. Is this a legit one?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's legit. It's legit. It's legit." And Kyle told me like, "Hey, I'm gonna run to you pump it." Back at the time, the only place in Frederick you couldn't cash that shit out in Frederick. You gotta go all the way to Dacono. He's like, "I'm gonna run to you pump it. Check this out. See if it's legit." He already gave the bro, his dope. And he immediately just started smoking it, of course, you know what I mean? And then Kyle came back like, "What's up with this? This shit's fake," and bro was kind of sitting down on the couch like this, and he's confronting him. Kyle kept saying, "Get the fuck to the backyard," calling him a little bitch, everything. And Brody, he kind of super on his juggalo shit. He was a juggalo, and "I ain't a fighter, I'm a killer." Kyle's like, "Bro, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? You a bitch, shut up."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "No, stand the fuck up. Go to the backyard. Not a fighter. I'm a killer." And, finally, after like the third time he said that, Kyle walked to my kitchen and there's, the like cutting knives for kitchen knives. He just grabbed one and said, "Here, bro." And he said, "That's what I thought. You a bitch." Boom. I slapped him across the face. And he stood up. It was a steak knife, raw, little, lots of little, just got him twice, basically directly in the heart. And yeah, so he took off running, and like me and the few people that were there were, I called the cops, and I remember I was fucking faded. I was drinking a bunch of rum and stuff, so I was pissing off my back porch, and I was on the phone with the cops, and they're asking, how like I don't know if you ever been on a 911 call like that. They try to keep you on the line. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just get here. 546 4th Street. Like, let's go. Get the fuck here. And Brody had already left at that point. And when the cops walked in, I was on the ground with Kyle, freaked like, oh, fuck, bro. Like, what? So immediately they came in, arrested me. My mom and dad come in like, Austin, what have you done? Like, what did you do, bro? And I'm like, you know what I mean? They arrested me, put me in the back of the car, and it took, they gathered everyone's statements, but they were gonna. I was like originally one of the suspects, and that shit was wild to have my dad think that I did that, and be like,
In the moment, like them walking in and seeing and thinking it was you and everything.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty wild, and you know, definitely after that, well, between the charges I caught in Brighton when I was trapping, and then this happening, they took me away from my family, and I was bored. I got sentenced to DYC to 2 years, 0 to 2 years, Department of Youth Corrections, and they were like, "Yeah, you had an unfit home. You can't go home. You know what I mean? Type of shit." And
As a
um,
result of that situation, or just
and
that and some other things.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
gang of stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean that was kind of like because I was involved with DHS and certain things, but that was the point where they're like, "Yeah, you're not going home, buddy. Like,
Right.
like we can't send you back there." And I was only 15 at the time, so yeah, they sent me to Platte Valley until I got into a place in Fort Collins called Turning Point.
Mm-hmm.
Got out, and I was there when I turned 17 and 18.
Do you think that situation happening had a direct result on, you kind of falling into that spiral or going to prison for the
Absolutely.
first time as an adult?
Absolutely. So all the little things such as being sent away so many times all strengthened my mindset of like I'm a G, I'm a fucking like I'm gonna keep running with these people. I was enthralled with that lifestyle, and the more that I was around doing time and around individuals like that, the more I just followed down. It's like you become a product of your environment in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because like honestly, I'm a little fucking white kid from Frederick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then just being in juvie and all that, I was hanging out with kids from Aurora, kids from Colorado Springs, different things. That's where I found rap at. That's where I learned to rap. Was at Turning Point. One of the staff brought in their own studio from their crib and let us do our thing and showed us how to record and stuff. And that's where I developed my passion. And a dude called Tank Trey, he was a Crip from Aurora. Bro was a sick ass rapper. I think he's like in the joint doing a lot of time now. But bro really motivated me and fucking. I was like, damn, this shit's cool as hell, Uh, yeah.
Turning Point was actually one of the places that you were sent from YOS. It was one of the places that you
Mm-hmm.
could be sent from YOS. So I'm sure that there was a lot of different,
Yeah.
juveniles from different places there that you linked up with.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. All different walks of life. And it was cool, man. I mean, granted, I didn't go to prom. I was in juvie. You know what I mean? I didn't graduate. My last grade I attended of high school was ninth grade
Mm-hmm.
type shit. But that also reinforced my like I don't know, just wanting to keep at it. And it sounds weird, but I looked up to the dude that was plugging me at the time so much, and I valued our relationship that I was like, nah, like this, I'm gonna go on the gas with this, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I did get out, when I moved with my mom, and I wanted to be very clear, I love the hell out of my mom. I wouldn't want any other mother, but I was crazy dark living with my mom, cause we'll rewind a bit. 2007 was the year Kyle died in my crib, and also right before that, when I was living in Brighton, me and my mom were in we weren't getting along. I didn't talk to her for about 6, 7 months. I was like, she called the cops on me on some shit. One of the times that I went to juvie, cops were always over at my crib, bro. But one day she called the cops on me, and that was the reason I went to juvie, and that was kind of my deciding factor of running with my dad and being like, screw you. But she came knocking on the door over there, and it was crazy because that house was always traffic. People buying weed, people buying white, um, high school kids, just mad traffic. And for whatever reason, my house, I wasn't at school. I was chilling. Everybody's at school across the street, but and my dad was gone. But the house was like quiet. There was no traffic. It was weird. And then I got a knock on the door. I looked out the peephole, and it was my mom. And I was like, hey, what the fuck? I let her in, and she's like, hey, son, you got any weed? And I was like, yeah, come in and roll up. And then she just starts crying, and I don't know, like, what's good? I missed you, mom. And she showed me this paperwork, and it said that she's HIV positive, and I was like, fuck, bro.
Damn.
So that really shook me, and then none of the beef with my mom mattered. I was just like, oh, mom, you know what I mean? Like, let's go. I was like, I'm coming home. Like, I love you, mom. What's good? And that was before the Kyle thing happened. Then they took me away, but until I was 18, and then I got out, and I went and stayed with my mom. But at that point, I think she had just been so heartbroken with life and shit, like, between my dad leaving her, finding out about the AIDS, and then she just had this doctor, bro. That was around the time when the doctors were prescribing mad oxys to people.
Mm-hmm.
So this doctor would give my mom any fucking thing she wanted, bro. And she'd be like, it's not enough. Up my dose. Yep. It got to the point they were giving her 450 oxy 30s a month, and we paid $1 for the whole script because we had Medicaid.
That's
so
crazy.
You can imagine, like, the money we were getting and just how high and fucked up we were getting, bro. Like, and that was nonstop for like a whole year. She would be getting like 400 plus pills every time she go to the doctor. And my house was like, that house specifically in Platteville was, I mean, there was times that I would kind of crave wanting to be alone, but I would wake up and there were people getting high in my living room and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And she involved with some people in biker gangs and everything else. And, there were some cool people there, but also one of the dudes she was involved with, because I was starting to get sick from doing so many pills and opiates and all that. And even though we had an abundance, there would be days we run dry, dude, just how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude was like, he was always against me smoking them, because that's how I did it at the time. I would smoke them, And he was a biker dude from Sons of Silence, and he's like, man, I'll help you get right, but I'm not gonna sit there and watch you fucking waste them like that, because I was dope sick. I'll help you get right. And he wanted me to shoot up, and I was told him, fuck off, bro. Like, I ain't gonna do that. I was like, I'll wait for my plug, and I waited for my plug for like maybe like 12 more hours, I think. Probably less than that. Probably felt like forever, but I ended up telling him, like, fuck it, try it. Yeah, hit me, you know what I mean? And that shit rocked my world for real. Because I felt like I was pretty good at keeping money and keeping the sack. And back then, weed wasn't legal. So, I mean, if you had weed, you always had money circulating. I always had the pills circulating. I always had money circulating. And then I also had a couple, like, shit going on with like, meth and shit, that I always had an abundance of meth, and I could trade it easily for opiates, because I could get meth so dirt cheap. But, I guess I don't... Yeah, man.
Can you think of any other situations that happened when you were younger and as a juvenile, or in your younger years, that directly caused you to kind of spiral out or follow that path?
I could blame a million different things, but in reality, bro, I was cooked, bro. I was crazy. I always been like that. You know me since I was a kid. Like, I like to do wild shit, bro. I like to fucking fuck with people. Like, I was just like kind of rambunctious and wild always, and you couldn't tell me nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, or maybe just something that you could think of that's wild that happened that maybe directly affect your mental at that time.
Um, I will just say that like I never felt like I felt super out of place. You know, I was the only child. I was always looking for like brothers within my friend groups and shit. But I always just felt super alone, and I also felt super kind of like shy. It was hard. Like I don't even, you remember me back then. Like I wasn't well spoken like I am now. I probably had some ratty ass crazy hair, skater kid. Like I used to be shy to girls, all that shit. But when I started getting high, bro, and getting money, all that changed. You know what I mean? It was like
Mm.
it gave me confidence, bro. It was an illusion. It was fake confidence, but it gave me that. I was the man now.
Yeah, but we learn that, as we grow up, is that was fake confidence, because
Yeah,
it hits us like, boom, like that's it. Like this
yeah,
is it. This is what I've been looking for all along,
yeah,
because all of those feelings of anxiety and shyness, it all goes away. And
yeah,
then you have to realize that, hey, this is a manufactured feeling. It's not real.
yeah.
And
No,
it takes a while to learn that.
yeah. It takes a really long time, and they say when you're in active addiction, it's like your mind's never really growing. So, for example, maybe I started getting high, like hard drugs. I was like 14, 15 years old. And I did that all the way till when I finally got clean, I was 28. So maybe my mind was still a fucking 14-year-old until I got clean.
So that's like could be like 13 years of being stagnant. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
saying? Yeah,
Basically, man.
yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Like I didn't make it was my mental health was declining. If anything, my confidence wasn't. The only time it was there was when it was false and solidified by drugs. And my shit got really crazy after that because I was the man. I was able to get money and all that. But the deeper I got into heroin, I didn't tell nobody I was doing heroin. I was all on the perks, you know what I mean? And what I would do is I would sell the 30s and then buy heroin because it was so dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So I could keep making money. And I wouldn't tell a soul I was on that shit. Because this was before like there was a gang of people on it around like,
There's a lot of judgment.
yeah, bro,
Mm-hmm.
like um at that point in my life, I could maybe name 3 people that have ever even tried heroin.
Mm-hmm.
This is like 2010, 2011. You know what I mean? And it became really hard for me to keep money circulating and to keep shit circulating because I was just drained. Just
Cause you weren't circulating it. You know what I mean?
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Unless I was, unless I wasn't, because I would get so sick without it that a lot of people you see them nodding out when they on it. Me, bro, I'd be sick feeling like that until the minute I get some in me, and then I'm ready to clean. I'm ready to do all the things I need to do in my life because that's just how dependent I was on it. But so I went to jail, and my mom was essentially unable to pay the bills and keep her apartment, and had to go move back to Ohio where she's from to go live with her sister. And I hit the county jail. When I got out of county jail, I came out homeless. And so I just there was a chick that my mom knew really well, Chrissy, and I ended up being in a relationship with her for a couple of years. And yeah, man, it was just freaking wild and crazy for a grip right around that time. I got out of jail, so I was in Greeley, and I just stayed in Greeley and was staying wherever I could. Um, and I ended up getting in touch with my dad, and he started letting me stay with him in Brighton, over here in Brighton. and that was short lived because of my addiction. And he told me, like, you can't be getting high here, bro. I was always trying to thought I was sneaky, whatnot. Um, and you know, a lot of shit happened, but I ended up going to prison because of some of the cases I caught at my mom's house. And while I was out, I caught several different cases for pills. I was on bond for fucking getting caught up with a controlled substance, which was the perks, and then I got caught with heroin, and I went on the run for a little bit until they caught me, and I went to prison and all that, and then I got really close with my dad while I was in prison, and he's like, "Hey man, like, I'll get you a job on the oil field. I got a trailer in Greeley. We moved to the north side of Greeley, to Villa West, which is, I don't know if you know anything about Greeley, but it's a crazy little trailer park, bro. It's just on the north side of town. It's wild. It's popping right there. At night, it's cool, man. It's probably it's different than Denver, I'm sure, but it's like little Mexico down there. It's cool as fuck. But yeah, I moved in with him down there and just started chilling, and with every intention to stay clean. But I just I went up. One of the only people I knew in Greeley was my dog Overdose, Stephen Van Winkle. He went by Overdose, and he had a studio on the east side. So immediately, that's where my mind was. I wanted to go make music. Hop in the mix, and being there, bro was doing perks and heroin in front of me, and I ended up, getting back into the scene and all that shit. And my dad was like, what the fuck, bud? Like, you ain't staying here, type of shit. And I like, my dad's a really sweet dude. Like, I could kind of push him around a little bit, as fucked up as it is. So I'm like, he ain't kicking me out, bro. I would go run amok, and then I'd come back, and he'd be like, dude, I told you can't be here. I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? I make a bowl of cereal, and so he got sick of it. And there was a there was a trap house, just not too far from my house, and this place was wild as shit. I mean, there'd be people sleeping all over the ground. People would rent out rooms for the night and shit. Like, some of the weirdest shit, craziest.
From that trap house, from the apartment, they'd rent
Yeah,
out rooms.
they were renting out rooms. There was call girls there. I mean, the, there was always at least like 20, 30 fucking people plus in this fucking crib, bro. It was a wild. It was honestly my first real trap house experience. Like, what the fuck? And I was really tight with a couple with this dude Joker and Tommy, and they were just plugging me in with lots of meth, and I would use all the money from meth just to feed my heroin habit, bro. And and I mean, I was getting the shit dirt cheap, and I was making good money, but fuck, I had not a lot to show for it. And so one day I went to go back to my dad's house, like, la la da, nothing. Like, he's gonna be there. Everything's bolted up. I can't get into the crib. All my shit, all my clothes, my electronics, everything I had from trapping, like all the random electronics and all the clothes and random bullshit I had, was out in the front yard, and Pisces were picking through my shit, bro. And I called my dad, hey, what the fuck? Hey, get the fuck away from my stuff, bro. What are you doing? I start packing my. Hey, dad, what's going on? He's like, I told you, bro, you're not gonna be staying with me if you're doing that shit. I moved to Texas.
He moved to Texas.
Moved to Texas. And so I was like, shit. I was with the chick. I was with this fucking tweaker ass chick. I brought her there just to fucking hang out and chill. I was like, fuck, dude. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And then now that crazy ass trap house was the only place I had to stay. And then yeah, I didn't even have a safe haven at that point. It was just get it in, you know what I mean? And hope I don't like. And a lot of this shit I did not to get sick, bro. I still, it'll dawn on me sometimes, like, what the fuck, dude.
Is there any situations that you could think of that were, whether it be on the streets or in prison, that were just super eye-opening for you, that you were like, this is not it?
Yeah, a lot of them. Um, the biggest one, like my epiphany moment, is kind of what I went over earlier. That moment in DRDC, seeing my name after 5 years exact. That was a big one. And then also around that time, bro, people from the streets, I was still talking to people on the phone while I was in the joint. Some of them were writing me, and I just felt like my mindset shifting, bro. Like I was in there with Noah, right? You know Noah Brovsky.
Yeah, yep.
So he was my workout partner, and I would literally, bro, I would literally be telling him so much positive shit and so much. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna do this, bro. I'm gonna, and I was on, like, I don't know, bro. Something just happened to me. Like I just really was like, I'm gonna change this. You know what I mean? Like, nah, like this ain't it. And I really just started putting in the work. And also, so around that time, I was gonna give up on the music, and I was praying a lot, and I was going to like Bible studies and stuff inside of there, and I was praying, and I was like, kind of like, I got this passion for music, Lord, like, but I don't know if like I could make music without like getting high and without glamorizing dope and shit. And it literally felt like, dude, it's weird because I'm not super like religious and all that, but I literally felt him like put that in my heart, like a calling, like that's your calling to fucking do music for, you know what I mean, like to make real music. And so I came out on a mission to do that. That was a real big eye opener. Also, every time, again, I love both of my parents to death. I don't ever want to talk bad on them, like, and just stating just facts, but talking to my mom and knowing how much regret she has in her life and how hurt she is about her decisions and things that she's done, I just knew, like, just how important all your little routines, habits, and how it's going to affect your future. I started thinking about that and how your mindset is so important. And I just started brainwashing myself with positivity, bro. Like I was in Noah's ear every day, like talking so much positive, crazy stuff. We would sit there, and that's why he was super like happy for me, because I would sit there and be like, hey, when I get out, I'm gonna do this with my music. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And by the time he got out, all of that was
You
already
were
in
actually
motion, and I
already
was
doing
already
it.
doing it.
Yep.
I was hosting the Kicking Dopes. That's something really beautiful that I've been able to do thanks to my homeboy Jose. He invited me to host Kicking Dope, and it's a whole event, hip hop event, where the two, that's like my two passions collide, which is now my sobriety and I'm not into AA, NA, none of that, so I don't get the chance to really be involved in the sobriety community as much as I would like to, and to give back as much as I would like to. So I was really excited for that opportunity, and that's kind of why I was excited for this, because I was like, it's something that I'm passionate about, and I know that there might be 10 people giving me a thumbs down, but if the one person is motivated and and gain something, some kind of strength from my story, then I guess that's what it's about.
Well, you got to understand, there's always going to be people that hate. There's people comments on all types of videos of me talking shit and
Yeah,
challenging and everything. But bro, you gotta have thick skin. You know what I mean? Like that's another. That just leads back to the confidence. Like if you know that you're the man, you're the man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like that's just how it is. So I mean, you have to be really confident and the type of person to have thick skin to put yourself out there on the internet. That's just how it is. But like I feel like it's like why not me, that's how I am, so i
yeah,
think i think that to get on something like this and to put yourself out there, you have to be somebody that's a brave person, and that just shows your type of character if you're willing to sit down and expose yourself to the whole internet, because anybody could see that, you know what I
yeah.
mean.
And there's people out there like, fuck this junkie got to say about anything. But then there's some people that are out there that are like, bro, he did it, I could do it, or I'm proud of my little homie, or I'm proud of my bro, or whatever it may be. But
If there's 99 people hating, bro, and you helped one person, that's that's what
yeah,
I do my job for. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's why I do it. It's for
hell
that
yeah.
one person, and I've ended up helping a whole lot of people. Like pretty damn near everybody that I've worked with. Will be able to say, that I've done something for them.
And
You know what I
I
mean?
envy that about you, bro, because you are like, they say there's two type of people in life. There's drains and there's fountains. So what you've became is a fountain, and
I appreciate that.
you know what I mean. You're
Yeah.
not a drain on society. Some people you could literally feel them draining you, bro. Like this was a drain. You know what I mean?
Emotionally, yeah, and physically and
And some
spiritually,
people you
yeah.
can literally feel them filling you up, bro. And it takes a lot. Like I deal with a lot of crazy thoughts. Self doubt, regret. You know, I'm not always like the most confident person, especially. But I've been just lately. It's been like this mindset shift that I just realized that it's all in your mind. Like, kind of like I heard you say, like once you believe it, then it's already there.
It's so true, bro. It's so true. It's just, you really set forth your perception,
Mm-hmm.
and you set that forth into reality. It starts in here, but it comes straight out of you when you believe it. When you actually take the time to
Yeah.
work on yourself, like, you can see the results. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
the more hunger you get for knowledge about psychology, or about how different things work, or different mechanics of even the human brain, you start to see, like, this is really just
Yeah.
psychology, and I could really
Yeah.
just believe that I'm cool like that, and it's the truth. Like, yeah, bro, like, that's what
Yeah.
it is. You know what I'm
It
saying? Like,
it
shit, I'm
sounds
the man.
corny.
So then after a while, after a year, or after however long of you feeling like that, everybody else starts to feel like that, and it's like, man, this is really, like, it's the law of attraction. It's the law of human nature. That's just what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. It is. It's so beautiful, bro. It's a trip because I did feel myself. Since I've been out and I've been in sobriety. At least off of all the hard drugs since 2018, March 11th, 2018. So I'm coming up on another year.
Congratulations,
Thank you, brother.
congratulations, bro.
And I had seasons in my sobriety where I was down and out too. And especially a couple years ago, I've had a few kids now, and when my son was born, he was born with a huge heart defect, something called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And around the time I was still pretty taking music pretty serious and on my grind, and gonna take some major risk with my music. And then my son being born, and he had to immediately get his, within the first 8 hours of him being born. Well, immediately they hooked him up to machines to keep him alive, cut his chest open, split his sternum open, and started working on him, bro, like immediately. We spent 6 months in the hospital. He went through two open heart surgeries. Like, I got pictures of him, just complete, like, I, I the it was a memory that just popped up from 2 years ago, February 9th. And so they kept him open for like 2 weeks so they could monitor his heart. And they had this little, like, they had machines keeping him alive. And then his chest was open, and they had like a blue sac right here. And you could see it breathe. You could see him breathing. But I kind of realized that I was putting a lot of the pressure on my woman at the time. Um, my woman's never been into drugs, never been in the streets. She has a master's degree in addiction and psychology and stuff. And she's always been real stable, like a rock in my life, bro. And I started to realize, like, by all the shit I was doing, because I was in sobriety then too. And I was like smoking and drinking a little bit sometimes, and working a blue collar ass job, and trying to do the music. But I just was like, man, it was just so eye opening. Like, that
So
was the eye opener that I need to. It's not about me. It's not just about me. I got kids. I got a family. And that's when I stepped into my role as like a protector and a provider, and started taking that more serious.
So you'd say that was a huge turning point, like, in your process and in your recovery, was realizing that, that selflessness with your son.
Yeah, and my family as a whole. You know, I feel like maybe in the first half of my relationship with my woman, I was pretty selfish in a lot of ways because honestly, I'd been hurt a lot, and I was just like, I didn't trust her. I didn't trust nothing. You know what I mean? It wasn't until later till that trust was built after her showing up day after day for a few years that I was like, started to let her in a little bit. Like, to be honest, like of course it looked like we were in a full relationship, but back of my mind, it's still gonna burn me. That's what happens. And yeah, it was I fell back on the music, bro. I was like, I just need to be a dad. I need to just take care of these fucking kids.
You have to find those things to be your balance, right? You have to have multiple things in your life to be a balance, but isn't that crazy, the paranoia that sets in, that will let us fuck up a good thing because we think we're like, things are going too good right now, like this is about to backfire. Like I've noticed that about myself, and
Yeah,
I don't let myself get like that anymore.
right.
Like I'll be there and I'll be like, man, like this is too good, like what the like something. And it's still to this day I feel like that. I'm like, man, like, but it can get that good. It really can. Those are just effects we have in our mind that we
Yeah.
think, and we let that self destruct. Like that would be a point, and back in the day where I'd go do some super dumb shit
Mm-hmm.
and end up back in prison or
Yeah.
something. When things are going so good, I just destruct it all because I thought that something bad was going to happen. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
when really I manufactured that. You know what I'm saying? Because of those, so that's very important to recognize that and not let yourself fuck it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. It was cool. And yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. You manufacture both sides. You can manufacture your downfall or your uprise. And
Most
it
definitely.
all starts like your heart, and then you speak it into existence, or your mind, however you want to say it. But yeah, man, so that was like I would say when I got out in 2018 and I started working really hard on my sobriety, like, bro, I was on top of the world. You know what I mean? Just I was like, I remember finding a bag of dope. I was walking from JBS back and forth to the halfway house. I remember finding a bag of dope on the ground and throwing that shit away, and how liberating that was, bro. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, yeah, like, and that sent me on an upward spiral, bro. And that was when I was dropping the music, getting out. I was client of the month at the halfway house, and I was just all this, everything was just looking up, goes nonstop upward. And then I did start to feel like, this is fuck, something's up. This is too good, like, you know what I mean, like. And that's when the thing happened with my son, and it was a huge wake up call, man. It was a huge reality for me. Like, I don't know, it changed my perspective because at that point I was gonna take some risk and go all in with my music stuff, and then I dialed it back and just being focused on being a family man. But it's cool because now where I'm at in my life now, I provided that stability for my family, and it's been a few years that I've been doing this real stable stuff. Sometimes it's like some of this stable stuff, like, because I work a fucking 9 to 5 job. You know what I mean? They pay me decent. I'm a crane operator. You know, it's not a bad job, but it's not like ideal for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm cramping. So my son's gonna have a third surgery, either in summer or fall. And so like when I got this job 2 years ago to this day, actually, my hire date was 2 years ago today. I was like, I can't lose this job no matter what until my son has his next surgery. I'm gonna provide that stability for my family and for And but now I got all these things and these plans I'm manifesting and working on between my third solo album that's gonna be dropping. I really want it to be the last album I dropped was 2022, so it's been 4 years since I've dropped like an actual album, and I don't even care if it takes me another 2 years. I just know when it drops, I want it to be right and perfect, the way I picture it. my other albums, I just picked a date and I said everything needs to be done by then and releasing it. And I rushed some things. I ain't rushing nothing. I don't care if it takes me a minute because I stopped looking at music as my way out. I, it's it could happen. It'd be great if it did, but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket anymore.
Yeah, you're being more realistic about it. It's like it's not only for other people, it's for you now. Like it's for you and yourself, and I want to craft this and everything, and
Exactly.
I see that.
I'm
I
never gonna
definitely
quit
see
it,
that.
but I'm not gonna maybe pursue it to the degree that I was before. But I'm also gonna be going back to school. Starting, my plan is to start in April, and I'm gonna be learning either data analysis or cybersecurity, and I'm gonna be work. It's gonna take me a couple of years to get into that. I already did go to DU for 6 months and earned a certificate in UX UI design, and then I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna be starting my own gutter cleaning business,
That's cool.
and and I'm gonna be cleaning gutters, and I'll scale it to pretty soon. I'll start power washing, adding more services. I could do whole gutter installations.
Do the whole house for you know what I'm saying?
I can
Like
build it. I
yeah,
can scale as many services or turn it into whatever I wanted. I could turn it construction. I could turn it landscaping, and from there, I wanna. I'm really intrigued, bro. That's why I like to pick your brain and talk to you sometimes about starting companies and being a business owner. So I'm manifesting all that, just just growing into that. I think between them three things, learning a new tech skill, continuing with my music, and trying something from an entrepreneurial thing. And I'm gonna have a lot of time on more than I have now. When my son has his surgery, I'm gonna have time off of work. I'll have FMLA. What do they say?
I've heard about that. Yeah.
And so I'll be getting paid, and I'll have the time off to really lock in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that I won't have to go back to my factory job after that.
I think it's beautiful that you're making these plans, bro. That's actually something that I was interested in. You know, when I was in the halfway house myself, was doing the cybersecurity, and I was already signed up for the classes.
Yeah.
But I kind of shot the arrow in four different directions, and I kind of seen what hit. You know what I mean? So it ended up being something else. You know, but
Yeah.
that's something that I was interested in, and I'm still interested in. You know, like the technology and the AI and all these things are not going anywhere. You know, and technology just becomes more and more vulnerable as time goes on. So that cybersecurity is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Technical jobs are going to be huge. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
like the gutter cleaning or plumber or all these. You know, the electrician things that a computer
Can't
or
be
that an
automated.
AI can't do.
Yeah.
Bro, there's a website called rentahuman.ai where AI bots are paying humans to do tasks that they can't do. I'm not
Hold
even
up.
playing.
What?
Yeah, look it up, bro. Look it up.
How does AI have money to pay humans?
Look it up. They got their resources, bro. Trust me. The
Oh
money's not
my
a problem with
God,
them.
bro.
They probably got accounts in different places where they got
Yeah.
their humans like funding whatever job. Like, bro, it's crazy. It's a crazy world that we live in, you know. But I think that's really smart of you to look into something like the cybersecurity thing, and then obviously, I mean, I'm a big advocate for anything with ownership, starting your own business and stuff like that. It's obviously a risk. You don't want to, over leverage anything that you do in life. You don't want to put too much into one thing and have it not work out because you have to manage risk, But I think that I'm always a fan of that. I think that that's a great idea, and that's you got a good plan, definitely.
Yeah, man. Cause I'm going through this thing. Me like being in and out of prison so many times. I started chopping it up with people. Oh, I've been in here 5 times. 50-year-old man. I've been in here. I've been in here for 20 years. Shit like, and that shit was like that was another eye-opening thing. Like, ooh, that can't be me. Nope, nope. And so now, if anybody at the factory is hearing this, like, no offense to you, but I talked to the OGs that have been at this factory 20, 10, 5 years, and I'm like, oh, nope, 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 I can't do that.
relate to it, be it like being in
And I
prison,
feel
like
the same urgency that I had
to
to
get out of
change,
prison. Yeah.
and now I'm feeling that same urgency all over again. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, it's time. Yeah, I can't wait no longer. I gotta get in motion.
Well, look at it like, like look what you were able to accomplish out of prison. So
Hmm.
like same thing, you can do the same thing with the career path. I mean, I always look at it like another challenge.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I came out with $40 in a pair of shoes, and fuck, bro, made it happen. So, and I didn't have to turn to fucking a shortcut to do it. I'm building it step by step, bro. So it's cool.
In your change, in your change and how you've changed as an individual, how important would you say that your family support or your support system was in making that change?
Bro, huge. Huge, huge. So every time I got locked up, I had it in my head that I was gonna get out and get clean. And I mean, I don't even know how many times I've been in county jail. Like probably somewhere between the range of 20, 30 times. And every time I got out, I'm gonna do things different. But my environment, living either, well, even when I stayed with my dad, he provided a nice, stable, clean environment. But I don't. Yeah, bro. My part when I got with my wife, bro, and I got out of prison this last time, and I moved in with my wife. It was the stability and the calm that I craved, bro. I never like. We did all the grown up shit that I never done, like go out on dates, like go see a movie, like be on a lease, like shit like that, and then like go on vacations, have our kid, stuff like that. Our kids, our first kid, and yeah, bro, it's everything. It really is. What you surround yourself is huge. Cause I was never able to do it in any environment. Um, Unfortunately, when I was younger, part of it was my mentality, but a big part of it was my environment.
Yeah. I
If
think
people
it's
are getting high on your couch, and when I moved in with my dad on the north side, I literally had my plug that I got really close with was across the street, bro. He was my neighbor, and there was a place, 4 places down. They called it the Boneyard, and it was literally like it was like super people fucking smoking crack, all that. It was the Boneyard. It was a trap house right there, and so that's as easy as all I had to do was walk down the street and get it, you know. And I came back. Actually, I only lived about 10 minutes away from there when I got out of prison the last time. But just being with my wife and holding on to that, I don't know. Yeah, my environment's huge, man.
so if if your parents would have given you a little bit more stability when you were younger, do you believe that things would have been different, and would you want them to be different in any way?
I know, yeah, things would have been different for sure. Um, yeah, there's some things I would have changed for sure, man. There's definitely some things I would change. Like, I don't live my life in regret, and I don't play the victim or nothing like that. I don't want to like blame my environment or blame my parents for my decisions. But yeah, bro, things could have been a lot different. You know, things. I remember, being super envious of kids around me because of the normalcy and the life they had. I would go stay at friends' house and I'd be like, damn, like this is the life he lives. Like, what the fuck? That shit's crazy at home. So, and yeah, I think it could have been different, but I don't think I would have changed anything. Man, I don't fucking know, man. You can't change anything, so it don't matter.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you
there are sometimes some little things, that you can think about, and you're like, that would be kind of interesting if that would have changed. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's everybody says, oh, I don't regret nothing, I would never change anything, because yeah, it makes you sound confident in the person you are, and that's the way that you should be. But I think deep down we all want to change something. There's something that we would
yeah,
change. You know
bro.
what I mean?
Absolutely,
There's
man.
definitely little tiny things, and maybe our lives would have been better. Maybe it would have been worse. Maybe something would have gone better for us when we were younger, and
Yeah.
our lives could have been worse. You know what I mean? Like you never
Yeah.
know. You
Yeah, I
never
know you're
know.
right. Yeah. And all the time that I spent in jail, I used to think that, like, oh shit, I probably would have been like caught up on some bigger stuff or maybe dead if I wasn't in here and shit like that. So I remember having them type of thoughts too. But
What are some of the other thoughts that would get you through when you were in prison?
when I was in prison,
Like, what are the things that you would think about on the streets, whether that be food or family members or things that you're gonna do? Like, what are some of the things that you would think about that would get you through?
so the majority of my time, I started going to getting locked up. I was about 14, and I say early on when I was getting locked up, the things that motivated me were like music, writing music, working out, thinking about the future. And then later on, it was the same too. Honestly, thinking about the future. But I did start to. So, some of the things I changed my second time around as an adult, in prison, the second time as an adult. My first time I was in, I felt like I was trying to be cool to fools. I wanted people to think I was cool or whatever the fuck you want to say, bro. I was trying to fit in and tell war stories and be in the mix. And I never changed anything, bro. All my conversations were surrounded by about drugs, but I was gonna change when I got out. But I hadn't had one fucking conversation about anything positive, bro. Just about licks I hit, chicks I did, drugs I did, how much money I made, and so of course, like it just repeated itself. But my second time around, like I told you, I was like nailing Noah with positivity, bro, and like I wasn't hanging around for, like people that were telling war stories and talking this. And I was like, bro, I was just like,
Like, I don't got
like it was like,
time.
that's
I ain't got
fucking
time for
old
that.
news.
Like,
Like, shut up.
yeah, like I've heard
Like,
that story a million times.
yeah,
Get
like
out of here.
same old fucking show. Like, been
Hmm.
there, got the T-shirt, bro. Like, I don't give. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's talk about some other stuff. You know what I mean?
If there was something that you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
Mm. Have some confidence in yourself and to spend more time alone.
Those are good answers. That's when I was asked that when I went out east. I said
Mm-hmm.
buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, no crap. Yeah, that too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I would have told myself to start making a down payment on a house when I was like 10.
bro. When I was 5,
Yeah.
I would have told my great grandma to buy as much gold as physically possible or keep as much gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the beautiful thing about investing, bro, is that it's never too late. There's always a move. There's always a move,
Yeah.
and that's what's beautiful about when you hit, or when you see the upside, is because that didn't have to happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
You made that happen.
You made it happen. You risked against it to make it happen. And that goes with anything, not with just investing, but with life,
Yeah.
with starting businesses, with starting a family, with a relationship, with sobriety. Like with everything. I mean, you are taking a risk in one way or another. Like you're risking. Like a lot something, your comfortability, you know, your anxiety, your emotions, like these are things that you got to think about. But you know, I mean, recovery and sobriety is always the way. You know, I'm always going to preach that. I don't think that that's, I mean, the upsides of that is amazing. Like, there's not too much downside to that, you know, but it is, you know, I mean, it's hard. It's, you know, we could both attest to that. It's super hard, you know what I mean? Especially at first, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, bro.
If you so let me ask you this. If you had somebody that you met on the streets right now that was in a similar situation to you that you feel like you could relate to, what advice would you give them?
Similar to the one I gave my younger self, man. Just walk in confidence. If you don't gotta make a plan, write it out. I mean, take some time, think about what you want, what you got, and how you can use what you got to get to where you want. Write it down. That's the type of stuff I do. I have a planner, bro. My weekly planner, and I'm to-do list, writing goals every freaking weekend, bro. And then I work on that, and it's been like that since I first got out.
And isn't that crazy how it could be something so small like that? Like, I do the same thing, bro. Every month, I buy 10 notebooks, and I might only write in 2 pages because I might get sick of the notebook. But the thing is, or I might lose it or whatever, you know what I mean? But the thing is I love writing, and I never make it halfway through the notebook. I only make it probably 20 pages deep. And, you know, I've had a tub full of notebooks I've had to throw away, you know, old notebooks. But I'm just old school when it comes to writing, I guess. I'm a sucker for that, you know, pen and paper. I double up and put things in my notes on my phone, but if I need to remember something, I'll put it in my phone and I'll write it on paper, and then it's like I got it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, bro, that is part of the manifestation. Is when you write it, it becomes physical. It's not just a thought.
You're putting that energy down on paper from something you thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's powerful. As little as it sounds, it's very
bro.
Huge, putting your energy into something in that way, you know, to write it down. That's why letters are so, you know, personal, and there's so much they're looked at as so personal.
Bro.
You know what I mean? It's because if you handwrite somebody a letter, especially if you're not locked up, you're not in jail, you're not in prison, and you're handwriting somebody a letter, like a girl, they're gonna be like, oh, you know, my lady loves when I write her letters. You know what I mean? And I still do it to this day, not as much as I used to, but shit, when I was in prison on count time,
yeah, bro.
You know, I'm a writer.
I got so many letters between me and my girl. But I also still try to make it a point to leave little, like, love notes, handwritten love notes and shit like that.
That's
every
important.
Once in a while, you know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, bro.
So where can people find your music?
Anywhere you stream music. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I go by AK. I add a question mark at the end. I fooled around with a few different variations of how to do my name. AK is simply my initials. Austin Kudrna. Austin Kelly's my middle name. Just tap capital A, capital K, question mark, and you should be able to find me.
Is there any of your socials you want to plug in, where people could follow you?
If you're into like the motivational and mindset stuff, I also have a TikTok where I just hop on, and it's not music related. It's more mindset related. Stuff about mindset, stuff about your thoughts, and stuff about sobriety. And it's the same. It's on TikTok, and it's AK question mark. I don't know if you want to put like how you spell my last name, because that'll also help you find a lot of my socials.
Spell it out.
Kudrna. Austin Kudrna.
Perfect. Well, Austin, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate it. Hell yeah.